Image Radio is on the air.
Golden Image.
Oh, I finally got to craft this game.
Rock on.
Oh! Wow. No, 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 no.
Hello, Golden Image Podcast listeners. It is I, Golden J, and tonight, whenever you're listening to this podcast, I am hanging out with pastor, musician, nurse, vinyl collector, the one and only Todd Rhymer. Todd, thank you so much for hanging out with me in this new thing that I'm working on called tentatively Interesting People Doing Interesting Things.
Well, thank you for having me. It's cool to be here.
I'm super excited that you're here and that you agreed to come do this with me. You and I have known each other for a few years now. And to be honest, I know you, but I don't know you. So I'm very interested in getting into the aspects of all these things that you do, as a pastor, as a musician, as a nurse, and as I like to call him, Fat Billy Ray. I don't know if you've caught on to that yet, but yeah.
Whatever works.
Poor Andy.
Just don't call me late for supper.
Poor Andy. He takes the brunt of all my. No, then yeah, exactly. No late for supper calls here. We got the dinner bell ready. Andy's been telling me all about your vinyl collecting, and did he tell you how jealous I am of the Vinnie Vincent LP that you found?
Hey, that was a find. Yeah.
Oh,
that was just a local find at a local indoor flea market. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. He said it's in prime condition.
Yeah, it's in pretty good shape. Yeah.
Oh man, I've been a Vinnie Vincent fan for a long time. I know that he's not the most popular of the Kiss guitar players, or even beyond in his solo career. He wasn't very popular with some of his bandmates, but
right.
Super. I love that dude. I
Which
love
means
that music.
there were not a lot of pressings of those records. So yeah, it is kind of cool to find it, because there's not like Michael Jackson Thriller where there's a billion copies floating around.
Right.
Yeah.
Somewhere around here, I have that I bought it off eBay when I was first got the internet, was a 45 of the demo for Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's a pink vinyl. I need to find it.
Wow.
I got it stashed away somewhere, but I can't remember where I put it.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. This is the fun stuff. So tell me more about let's start with that, since that's where we kicked off with. Let's talk about your vinyl collection and what you kind of been after. What have you been looking for while you've been out there on the hunt?
Well, when you walk into a music store or flea market or somewhere, you see a crate of records, you're obviously looking for something that you want to listen to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I recently, within the last year, just kind of got back into vinyl. All my records stayed in a closet for 30 years, And when I got my man cave, which was nice, it was like, hey, I got room for these things now. So, got myself a turntable, got my old records out, and decided, yeah, this would be cool to add to this little at a time. And very easy to get obsessed with it, because we've had things like eBay and Discogs where you want something, you can find it. If you're willing to pay for it, it's out there. So it's mainly stuff that I really want to listen to. I want to have on hand. It's really nice to go into the man cave, and because when I get deep in the man cave, which is no pun intended, I don't have cell phone signal. So Yeah, I can put my phone at the door of the man cave and stream music if I want to via Bluetooth to my stereo that's in the man cave. But if I'm deep in the man cave, I don't have cell phone signal. So that's kind of nice though, when you have a vinyl collection. So you just pick out what you want to hear, you look at the record, read the lyrics, put it on your turntable, all those things that people who collect vinyl love about the vinyl thing.
I
You know.
that's and we've discussed this for years about the fact that with vinyl and the sleeves, and you can just lose yourself in some of the inserts and stuff like that, whereas now with even streaming or even some of the CDs that came out over the past few years, there's just not much to them. There's not that artwork and the lyrics and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
limited for space. I mean, if you're talking about CDs,
yeah,
little CD, you got a 12 by 12 album, they can fold a poster up that's, almost 6 foot tall if they want.
if they wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, the new Chili Peppers albums came with big posters, if you bought the deluxe edition. Not that I'm hanging up posters or anything, but it's just
Yeah, pictures of Flea on your wall there,
yeah,
do you?
yeah, it's kind of cool to have that stuff if you're listening to it
Right.
and you just wanted to unfold it and look at the people who made the music. And yeah, it's a different, it's a different niche that you definitely don't get it from streaming.
No, definitely not. I mean, I suppose you could probably go look at a website while it's streaming, and there might be something there, but
Who
I
wants to
mean,
do that?
no, we all stare at computers long enough as it is,
Yeah,
let alone that's what you're going to do while you're trying to relax in the man cave while
yeah,
just listening to some music. Man, the man cave sounds amazing. I've heard all kinds of stories about it. Are you doing, do you have like wall space that have you built shelves up for all the vinyl then? So,
yeah. I mean, not for all. Uh, I have a shelf of prominence. That is lit. That you can the top of the shelf. I can put double albums and display them, and then the bottom shelf holds maybe a couple hundred.
right on.
But I probably have maybe pushing 400. So I have a couple roll around crates that most of the other records reside in.
Right. Kind of the stuff that's the 99 cent John Parr
Trying to weed through. I really don't want any stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's so much good stuff out there. You just don't, unless you're like my friend Mike Berry, who has 3,000 vinyl records.
Wow.
And he's dedicated his man cave, which is twice as big as mine. He's dedicated most of that space to just housing the vinyl.
Right.
Unless that's who you are, I just can't have records that I might once in my lifetime put on my turntable.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
That was the thing with me is that I gave Andy a big box of stuff that I didn't want, and my collection is very limited to just the people that I definitely want to listen to, the Huey Lewis or the I think I got a couple David Lee Ross, just stuff like that. However, I don't know if you can see this. Let me move. Can you see that right there on my wall? It's right there. That is my pride and joy. It is the re-release of my favorite band, Flicker Stick, their first album, which was in 2001.
Nice.
That's the one. That's the band that me and Andy and Skyler went down to Dallas to see.
Yeah.
But that is my autographed copy with all 5 original members. Yeah, I paid for that too. Let me tell you, it wasn't cheap.
Did you get that recently in Dallas?
No, actually, I ordered that through their fan site. Because the fan site's actually run by the band, so that made it a little bit better. But
Now, is that as far as you've ever traveled to see a concert?
that is as far as I have ever traveled to see a show.
My cat's clawing up the back of my seat.
Oh. How about you? How far have you traveled?
Man, yeah, I asked you that now. I was thinking specifically, though, you know what I mean? I've seen concerts out in South Dakota when I was out there already for a motorcycle trip, but to specifically go for a concert, probably only a couple hours.
Right.
I think one. Yeah.
Um, that was there was a longer trip. I don't know if you've ever been there. Blossom Music Center over in Cleveland. We did that 4-hour trip one time to see 30 Seconds to Mars.
Wow.
But we made sure that we made the most of our time. We left early, did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
and then went to the concert that night and then come back home on Sunday. But yeah, definitely worth the trip. I would recommend if you like centers like a Ruoff or whatever, Calypse or whatever it's called now. This one was better. This is way better, but it's way bigger. You spend a lot more time walking to the venue, and yeah, but it's a beautiful, beautiful state park that they have this venue in.
So now that I think about it, I guess Nashville, Tennessee,
Right
we
on.
actually went down there specifically to see Joe Bonamassa at the Ryman. And, we made a little vacation out of it.
Yeah.
But the intention, the whole reason we went was for the Bonamassa concert. So that was definitely the farthest.
And because of you, that's how I became to know Joe Bonamassa. I didn't until we talked about it, and we kind of I think we were at the Slash show. I think we talked about Bonamassa a little bit, and that's how I got to know him. What an amazing guitar player, and just fun to listen to. But you are like the Bonamassa super fan. Am I wrong? Or
well, yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of his. Just he's very good, and to watch his career arc. I was listening to him when he was still driving his own little tour bus. You know what I mean? So, and now he's the mega star that he is. So it's kind of cool to watch somebody from that stage all the way through, and then for him to stay as humble as he really is, and branch out the way he has now with everything he does and the blues cruise, and pretty much has their own record label. They're kind of against record labels, so it's not really a record label, but they're developing and recording for other artists and stuff. So yeah.
So his quote unquote label is doing other acts and just besides his own.
Well, I know that he is like producing other artists, like the current Eric Gale's album. I think he's a co-producer on Joe Bonamassa. Right. Yeah.
So that slides us into you, Todd, as the musician, and you have been playing for many years.
Yeah, since I was 14. I got my first guitar 14th birthday. So
what was that first guitar?
I actually talked my mom into ordering me a guitar. It looked like the Randy Rhoads Jackson. It looked exactly like it, but it was from the Sears catalog.
So was it the Flying V Jackson?
It was not a complete V. It was like the shorter, the bottom part of the V was shorter. I don't know what they call that body style for sure, but it was white with a black pick guard and a black headstock, and it looked like a Jackson headstock, but it was not. I don't even know who made it, where it was made. Right. It was a Sears catalog. Little kid looking in a Sears catalog. I want that cool guitar. And she got an accompanying amplifier, which of course had absolutely no distortion whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. Back in our younger days, they didn't come with distortion built into it unless you cranked it to 11 and called that your distortion.
Yeah, and even then, this thing wouldn't do anything. So. That was the first thing to be replaced, was the Chintzy transistor radio amplifier. But yeah, but it was nice of her. I got that for my 14th birthday, and I instantly got, unpackaged that stuff and cranked everything to 11 and started bothering the neighbors right away.
Yeah, exactly. They knew right away that you were now a guitar player.
That's right.
Yep. So at 14, you get your first guitar, and just out of curiosity, what happened to that guitar?
I ended up trading that because I read Circus magazine. You know what I mean? Yep. And I was a fan of hair metal, and I knew that Kramer guitars were good guitars.
Right.
I thought, if I had a better guitar, I'd be a better guitar player.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, this Sears guitar is holding me back. So it wasn't long till I took that to Plymouth to Wagner's Music. You probably
Oh,
have been there over the years.
oh my God.
Wagner,
I miss Bill so
he was
much.
great, wasn't
He
he?
was amazing.
We just don't have places like that
No.
anymore. It's very unfortunate. So I went there as a dumb kid because I heard he had Kramer guitars,
Right.
and stumbled into the music shop, had that Sears. So he took it on trade. And basically, the guitar I got was a Kramer. Was it a Striker or a Focus? Because they had some cheap lines of Kramer,
Right. Right.
and they called them different names. I think mine was a Striker, but it was the exact same body shape as the Sears guitar. But it was all black.
Okay.
But it was a Kramer. It said Kramer on the headstock. So I'm
Uh-huh.
going to be a better guitar player.
Yeah.
So, I traded that Sears guitar, and I don't even know how much money, or I can't remember none of that. But that's what happened to the Sears guitar, and it became a Kramer black
Nice.
guitar. It was a white Sears and I was not instantly better.
It's weird how that works out, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I went from a no-name guitar that my mom had sitting around. That's what I learned to play on to I had some odds and ends in between there, but to that pink Ibanez that I actually still have hanging on my wall to this day.
Yeah.
I love that guitar. I'll never part with that one just because it was. But for some weird reason, it didn't make me a better guitar player. I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. I didn't get instantly better.
Mine
But
had a whammy bar.
yes, the Kramer did have a whammy bar. That was it too. I don't think the Sears did, if I remember right, because I didn't have it real long. But the Kramer did have a Floyd Rose. It wasn't locking though.
Right.
Floyd Rose made a bunch of different tremolos back in the day, and they kind of had a contract with Kramer.
Right.
Floyd Rose, really, they were together, Kramer and Floyd Rose. And so it was basically a two-post non-locking Floyd Rose. It did say Floyd Rose on it, which made also, I knew I was cool.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, yeah, it had a tremolo, which elevated my status, I thought.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In it didn't help my playing.
And it probably, because the Ibanez was locking, so I was very fortunate that, but probably didn't do a lot for your tune at that point too. I mean,
It
a
did
couple
teach me how
dives.
to tune. It did teach me how, one time of using it, and I'm tuning. So so I went from, and I did learn relatively quick how to tune from ear, and God did bless me with the talent of music, and I was able to hear things like that. And then, so since I was tuning so much, one of my guitar friends showed me how to tune with the harmonics.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Just the strings, on the fifth
Yep.
fret, the strings. So yeah, I got pretty proficient with that guitar at tuning because I had to tune every time I used the whammy.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember that one of the first songs I ever learned how to play was "Nobody's Fool" by Cinderella, and that opening. So that opening just that one string on the fifth string, the A string, that was my starting note when I would try to tune by ear. I never quite got it 100%, but I was always close enough that I could stay relevant with what was going on. But
yeah,
always
close
had one
for rock and roll.
That is right. When you put distortion on, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the Kramer. I'm assuming
and I got a DOD distortion pedal at the same time I got the Kramer.
Nice.
That was from Wagner's.
Right.
So, yeah.
Remind me someday to tell you my big Wagner stories about monitors. Not for this show, but I'll tell you sometime. It's a great story. So you move on. I'm thinking you're 15, 16 when you traded up for the Kramer?
Yeah, somewhere. It was pretty quick. So like probably between 14 and 15.
Right on.
Yeah.
Did you start your first band back in those days?
Yeah,
or
definitely. Yeah, by the time I was 15 and playing a year, I was able to play enough to get a couple buddies and have a band in my mom's garage. Yeah. So, and we played, I still remember that. Well, the first band I was in, the other guys couldn't play much. We tried to play some Kiss songs,
Right.
So I met these older kids, like they were one grade ahead of me in school, and I was starting to grow my hair long. And it's like, hey, yeah, I play drums. Well, I play bass. So they brought their stuff over, set it up in my mom's garage, and we played 2 songs. We played, and I still have the tape recorded on my jam box.
Right.
We played Judas Priest, Another Thing Coming.
Yep.
And Poison. It was off Look What the Cat Dragged In.
I'm gonna say Talk Dirty to Me.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. So we played those 2 songs, and we actually thought we were full blown rock stars.
Yep.
That was it. So yeah, that was definitely that was about 15. Yeah.
Yeah, I know those 2 songs extremely well because if you would have thrown Crazy Train in there, you would have had my opening set list.
I wasn't good enough to play Crazy Train yet at that point,
Oh,
those
man.
are the only 2 songs we could play at that point.
Yeah, we played Talk Dirty to Me till the cows came home. It's so funny that even now the last jam band that I played in for a buddy of mine, that was on the list, and
Oh, wow.
It's like, wow, I haven't played this song in years, but there it was, all came right back. And
it'll teach you to play bar chords, right?
Oh man, well, I was me personally, I was a power chord guy for a long time before I really ever even got into a lot of the actual full chords and bar chords and all that stuff. So yeah, I cut my teeth on power chords and 80s metal. Come on.
I did take at Wagner's probably 3 months of the Mel Bay guitar method, which taught you the open chords. So
Right.
I took and then I got really bored with that, and I'm like, can't you teach me anything else? And so the guy started teaching me bar chords,
Right.
because he was a good teacher. And then he got a different teacher, and that guy was really a heavy metal freak. And so basically all he did was teach me how to play heavy metal songs, which
Right.
that's where I learned how to play those 2 songs that I played with those guys, because the guy at Wagner's had showed me how to play them. So
Yep. Yeah, those were a staple for that time period of
definitely
doing that. That was what I always instilled in the students that I had, and I haven't had many of them, but we would start off with a couple of regular chords to get them going, get their fingers, kind of stretched out, and then teach them a song, because I didn't want them to get bored, just playing chords. You wanted to give them something to be excited about. So yeah, kudos to that guy for showing you some good old heavy metal.
definitely. Yeah.
So as we progress into your teenage years and into your 20s, I'm assuming there were bands and of all sorts along the way.
Definitely. Yeah.
Anything of any prog? I mean, me personally have cut records through all the years, but never anything of any major stature. How about you? Did anything did you get to that?
Nothing ever took off. We recorded a lot of stuff. So yeah, I played with those first guys, and I had that Kramer, and that got ran over.
Oh,
I had a guitar get run over. Yeah, we was loading the truck and left it sitting next to the truck, and when he backed out, they backed right over it. But so my mom's insurance actually bought me my Charvel, which I still have.
Nice.
Charvel Model 1, better guitar, and I did all I did was go to school and come home and play my guitar.
Right.
I didn't do any school homework. I have no idea how I passed high school. I don't know how I graduated, because I can tell you I didn't do any homework because I didn't have time. I was running to my room and playing guitar, either learning from cassette tapes or albums,
Right. Yep.
And that's all I did. So that ends up paying off, So
yeah.
by the time I was 16, still before I had my driver's license, I found myself in a band with the guy who was teaching me at Wagner's how to play guitar.
Oh, nice.
I got hooked up with some older guys, much older, like 10 years older than me, in Rochester, who were forming a band. and we needed a lead guitar player because I still wasn't good enough to be a lead guitar player. And I'm like, I know a guy if he'll come, that guy that was my guitar teacher, and he came and checked it out. And so we, when I was 16, I was going to bars on the weekends, playing Friday and Saturday night at the local nightclubs, if you will. And we were just a cover band for quite a while. And then eventually we decided to write originals, and we recorded, maybe 10 or so, but
Right.
it's not like we sent them to a record company and got a deal or anything. But
Right.
we were rock stars in our own mind. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, you get to play in some of those nightclubs, and all your friends, well, not your friends at 16. That was always my problem, is that at 16 and 17, 18, my friends couldn't come. They were all, you played some venues that you could find that was an all age, so they could come to that one. But
and we did, we did play a few. We played some pool halls. There was a pool hall in Rochester that had a big back room. We used to play there, a couple times, 2 or 3 times we played there. So there was a few times where, I could play in front of my high school friends, but
right.
I was just totally immersed in that whole, that's what I was going to do. Just going to play guitar. I didn't care about anything else. So,
Yeah, I remember those days extremely well. So, and I know you still play today, and you still are as nimble as I'm sure you were back in those days, because I've been fortunate enough to share a stage with you for a couple songs, and I know what a great guitar player you are. But okay, so at what point did you realize that you needed to financially set up and move on with life, because you knew music wasn't going to get you there?
Yeah, so I definitely, when you get to the realization that you're going to have to provide for your wife and kids, and $100 a weekend playing in bars is not going to pull that off.
Right. Yep.
And that, especially when you got to work probably 15 hours a week to make that $100. It's like, yeah. So, get a haircut and get a real job.
You know it right there.
Yeah.
So for me, which came first? The RN going into the studies to be a nurse, or the call from God to be a pastor?
Well, that's an interesting question. So, I definitely started my career at just a local factory, and I happened to get into a good one that was a good paying factory. It was UAW. So, as far as I was concerned at that point, raising my kids and being married, I was just going to retire from there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was at that point also that Rachel, my wife, and we got saved during that time. I was working at the factory, which was really good. It was shortly after we got married. And so we had different goals in life, obviously, than before. But I wasn't called to be a pastor at that point. But I was called into the music ministry at the local church we were going to, because at that point, way back then, 1997, contemporary worship in local churches was rare. Usually it was just a piano and an organ, and a hymn book. So the church that we ended up going to, they wanted to have contemporary worship, at least the pastor did, and with drums and guitars and bass and everything. And so I was like, hey, I know all about this. So I was called to that music ministry definitely early on, like very shortly after I was saved. And
right on.
Then the factory thing went away. They moved to Mexico, like so many,
of them did. Yeah,
of our manufacturing did. NAFTA went through, even after Clinton promised the UAW he would never sign NAFTA into law. And we voted for him. The union was all behind Bill Clinton because he was our man. And the first thing he did was sign NAFTA, which directly affected me. I mean, directly. Soon NAFTA, This factory that I worked at was an automotive stamping plant. They closed up. They moved straight to Mexico. But the good news about that is part of NAFTA, which I guess I shouldn't complain about it now, was built into that was a retraining program. So that actually paid for me to go to nursing school.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So at that time, when I lost that job, I did apply and went to nursing school and was in the music ministry, the Christian music ministry at the same time. And then subsequent to that, I was called to the pulpit to be a pastor. So it's been a process.
It sounds like it. It sounds like the kind of it is the old one door closes, another one opens scenario for sure.
Right.
So since 97, and I'm sure, many years of what is the length of studying in the medical field to become an RN now? Is it 4 years?
Yeah, for the most part. There's a few associate programs around where you can get 2 years and and set for your boards to be an RN, a registered nurse. Yeah.
Right on. So basically early 2000s, you got your what do I want to call it? You got your letters behind your name, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually 2006. So the factory thing held out until 2000.
Okay.
We got saved in 96. I got called to the music ministry in 97. The factory thing kept going until 2000. Then it fizzled, and I applied for NAFTA benefits and was denied for almost 2 years because the company lied and said they didn't take our jobs to Mexico.
Oh.
and the UAW had to take them to court, and it took a couple years. So during that time, I went in business with a Christian friend that I had met at church when we had a lawn care business together, which is now Pastor Johnny, who's at Solid Rock. He and
right
I
on.
had a lawn care business starting in 2000. It basically took me through nursing school as well, and I graduated nursing school in 2006.
Nice.
And, yeah.
Now, how do you like that? I mean, I've been in healthcare for 30 years, not in the actual patient part of it, in the rest of the part of it, shipping, receiving, so on and so forth, with all the different hats that I've worn there over the years. How do you perceive it today as compared to what it was, in say 2006? Or in my case, even 1990 when I started there. What was it, 92, I do believe.
Wow.
What is your perception on medical care as far as what it was to where it is now, and all I don't want to get into politics per se, but kind of all the avenues that politics has taken that field?
Well, healthcare has radically changed as far as if you're talking about, well, actually, if you're talking about anything, but definitely from a hospital perspective. When I first started, it was really changing because I talked to some of the old timers.
Right.
And back in the day, your family doctor did everything for you pretty much. So if you came to the ER and you needed attention, they called your family doctor.
Right,
way back.
right.
We're talking like back in the 70s. And your family doctor would get up in the middle of the night and drive to the ER and sew you up or take care of you. They didn't have an on-staff physician.
Right.
They had a couple of nurses and a medic, in the ER back in the day. So that obviously is radically changed over the years. But when I started in 2006, there were still family doctors who were coming to the hospital and seeing patients. Some.
Yeah.
And there was also a move to have hospital doctors.
Yep.
So if you went to the hospital, a hospital doctor would manage your care. And now that move is completely in place. There is zero family doctors, at least at our hospital, who see patients in our hospital. It's 100%. If you're an inpatient in the hospital, your care is provided for by a hospitalist,
Yep.
which is a doctor. All they do is work at the hospital. So we have nocturnalists, the doctors that cover the night shift, and that's all they do. And then there's day shift doctors that work the day shift, and between them, they just manage the patient care, and they don't really manage it. They don't really confer with your family doctor. You know, people may think that, like, oh, they're calling them, you know, no, they don't.
Right.
You know, it's not. So it's kind of unhinged in my mind. Like, you're totally being managed by somebody else, and then when you leave, you're going back to somebody else. And I don't know that it's, you know, I mean, it seems to work, and I understand a lot of the reasons why that happened, but because of that paradigm, it has really started to, and I mean really started to affect smaller hospitals. You know, there's some holdouts, like Woodlawn and Rochester seems to be holding out
Right.
as a small independent hospital, but most small town hospitals have had to merge with bigger hospitals, and in doing so, they usually lose a bunch of the services they did provide, because the bigger hospital provides those services and it's too expensive to provide those services at both locations.
Right. Right.
Then people end up driving, like you're seeing OB units close across rural America. And pretty much, if you're pretty soon, I'm pretty sure, if you're going to have a baby in this country, you're going to be doing it in a bigger city, because the smaller hospitals aren't going to have OB units, because they're very expensive to maintain in the paradigm that we're in, because the hospital has to employ its own doctors to manage the OB units. And in a small town, you're having maybe 150 babies a year.
Right.
It's not enough to pay for everything. And so even though they may want to offer that service, it's too expensive.
Yeah, the hometown small town doctor who delivered your mom, your grandma, and your great grandma, you know, is no longer even there. I mean, there's not that dynamic anymore. It's you know, obviously it's been several years since we actually had you know, our daughter. You know, she's 23, I think now, and
Right.
you know, we had a family doctor who came to the hospital at that point.
Right.
That was late 90s, but so I'm not exactly 100% sure what they're doing, if the OBGYNs are coming in to deliver, or whether they're doing it via who's ever in the OB now. I don't really even know.
Well, we had our son, he's 25. Well, we had him in 1998 in Winnemac Hospital, which
Right.
they no longer have an OB unit.
It
So
completely gone.
nobody's having babies there because they don't have an OB unit. So,
Right.
and at that time it was our family doctor came and took care of things. But
Yeah.
it wasn't cost effective for them. So they don't have an OB unit anymore. And then the rumor goes around at every small hospital that they're on the chopping block. And the reason is because they're not making enough money to sustain that.
Right.
And so it's still evolving.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how it's going to, you know, it directly affected me because Plymouth Hospital just recently closed down their intensive care unit, which I've always been a critical care nurse.
Right.
And you know, that's where I worked, and I don't work there anymore because there is no intensive care unit. Now I work on the general medical floor, which they've labeled a step down unit, which, you know, we do take care of more, you know, critical patients than they used to, but it's still not a critical care unit.
Right on.
So anyone needing those services gets shipped to Mishawaka.
Right. Yeah, once again to the bigger hospital.
Right.
You were in the midst, down and dirty, wearing I'm sure every PPE that you could get your hands on in the middle of COVID too, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I was
Taking
close
care
enough.
of the sickest of the sickest.
Yeah.
You know, in the critical care, we were taking care of the sickest of the sick ones. Saw a lot of bad cases and a lot of people on ventilators, and
Yeah.
naturally have to wear respirators, you know, positive air pressure masks and all that stuff. Yeah.
There I always said, we've had long discussions with a lot of different people about COVID, um, and the feelings one way or the other on it, but it doesn't get any realer than standing in the hallway watching an RN or a tech actually put on those protective suits with the
Right.
with the fans and the tubes and all that stuff. It does not get any realer than that in that moment, which I'm sure you were completely all suited up
Yeah.
with all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. Thank you for doing that. Thank you that I don't have to, that I didn't have to do that. You stepped up and went and did that and took care of people. And I'm sure you've seen the good and the bad, the good ones that came out and the bad ones who didn't. I'm sure you got to
Right.
see all that stuff. But yeah, man, thank you for taking care of that, so I didn't have to, and my
You're
wife didn't
welcome.
have to, and I
It's something
appreciate
I
it.
found. It's just something you find yourself in,
Yeah,
and it's just weird to explain how it all. I remember the very first, patient that we had that was bad COVID, and it had been in the news, and people were afraid of it,
yeah.
and it was like when I was going in that room, it was like, well, I'm going in. It's like
No, yeah,
I don't
no,
know what's gonna happen, but here we go because there's nobody else here to do it,
yeah,
so I'm doing it.
yeah. It was definitely an interesting time. I mean, uh, of course, I personally, and you did too. I mean, I worked all the way through it. I actually liked the lockdown. I was a real big fan of it because, I was going to be out and about anyway, but there was nobody else out there with me. So the roads were clear.
31 and going to Rochester to Plymouth, that was really kind of surreal. You being the
Yeah.
only car on a 4-lane highway, it was like something from a movie.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but
When everything was really shut down real tight there for a few weeks.
yep.
Um, we were the only ones. The medical people were just about the only, and the police were just about the only ones out on the roads.
Yeah. It was insane. I remember and I'm sure you had one. They wouldn't give me one because I don't know why they wouldn't, but did you have the pink slip of paper that actually said that you were a medical professional and that's what you were out doing?
They just told us to use our name badge that said RN
Oh, right on.
and Plymouth Hospital. Yeah.
Nice. Well, okay, let's switch gears just a pinch. Uh I know that you are the pastor of Solid Rock Church. And I know that
Right.
you, during the COVID times, you guys were fortunate enough to, and I know there was some time when you were shut down, but you guys were fortunate enough to be able to open your doors back up, even in the midst of all that, to bring it the congregation back into your church. Uh, but at that time, I remember that you guys actually were doing a lot of the YouTube to get the sermons out and stuff like that, which you've continued on to even up to today. You guys are still doing YouTube. What is it? Solid Rock.
Get Solid TV.
There you go. I knew it.
3 words. I
Uh,
always say that every week from the pulpit. 3 words. Get Solid TV.
so let's back up on that side of it and the Solid Rock Church. Now, um, stop me if I'm wrong because it's a good possibility. You were the pastor and then you left and came back to Solid Rock, or work me through that.
So this is our 20th anniversary this
Okay.
year, 2023. We started in 2003, and we started with 4 families at the time, and so I've been there from the beginning. I never
Okay.
left. I've always been involved with the music and was the music pastor for years. Our founding pastor ended up leaving, and
Okay.
then did at that point step into the pulpit, um, and just have stayed there. Still play sometimes when I can
Right.
with the praise band, but mainly now do the preaching with with a couple assistant pastors, which is really nice. So yeah.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a little bit of a well, you're the hardest working man I know. You're doing all
Oh,
that with the church plus
how about that?
working nights at the hospital. Man, I don't know. How do you keep up with all of it?
Catch yourself coming and going sometimes.
Time to make the donuts, baby.
That's right.
I did hear that you played a couple, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before you played coming off of the Winery Dogs concert that you were at in Wabash.
Yeah, that was something.
I heard it was an amazing performance at the church that day.
Maybe I was inspired.
Yes, well, you should have been.
I mean, I don't know if you know Richie Kozen, but that guy can play guitar. I mean, wow. He's a shredder from back in the day. And
I do. I know that particular band is just solid, stacked from basement to ceiling of talent.
yeah, Billy Sheehan.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. And Portnoy on drums.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It was something to behold. So yeah. You watch the show like that, and you either burn your guitar for firewood, or or you're you get out there and see if you can do something with it. So yeah, it kind of gave me a little boost to try a few things, but yeah,
as well it should.
Plus, it had been a while since I played with the praise band, so I was really excited to be up there playing praise and worship music, and just real happy.
Right on. So Get Solid TV is the YouTube. You guys actually, and help me out here, you guys have a website, right? Do you guys have a website?
We have a website. Getsolid.org is the website.
Okay.
And the YouTube channel is Get Solid TV, but it's 3 words: Get and then Solid and then TV. And we live stream now on YouTube every Sunday. Yeah.
I thought I'd heard you guys were doing the live stream stuff now, because you guys upgraded all of your equipment in there.
Yeah.
Since well, I think the last 2 times that maybe just the last time the family's helping families.
We really just had to get a real powerful gaming computer that could process the audio and video fast enough to live stream.
Right.
Here, I always thought our holdback was going to be like upload speed, and like it was going to be the internet's issue. And really, that's not an issue at all. If you have a beast of a computer, which my son picked it out, and this thing is a beast, man. I mean, it's basically idling as it's live streaming our stuff.
Right. You can see the smoke.
It could do so much more. What you don't want to see is smoke. We tried it once with what we thought was a good Mac laptop, and man, it about burnt that thing up. You know what I mean? You got to have a big computer with fans built in it. And so once we got that, it's no problem.
Yeah.
It does the live stream without hiccup. So
gotta love it.
That was the big upgrade, really, for the most part. We did have to get some other components, different video mixer. So everything now goes through HDMI. So the video and the audio is embedded. The cool part about the video mixer we have is it actually does the embedding in the mixer. So I run the feed from the board. We're kind of geeking out now with sound stuff, but I know you know about it. So
I do. I love it.
We have a digital board, but I do run an analog feed from the digital board to the video mixer, and our video cameras are running HDMI into the video mixer. Yet I don't use the microphones on the cameras because I'm using the audio from the board.
Yep.
So then it embeds that audio to that digital video and puts it all as a digital signal and sends it through an HDMI cable to that computer. And that computer then processes it and then puts it up on YouTube, sends it through the internet to YouTube for a live feed, and it works really good.
Nice. I know that you guys have spent a lot of time really hashing that out and getting the system that you wanted in there, and from head to toe, even from the stage equipment back all the way to the very back, and yeah, I know that it's serving you well. You talked about four families starting off. You guys have a pretty good sized congregation at this point, right?
Yeah, it's spring break last week. We were a little bit slim last Sunday, but we have a lot of young families and a lot of babies. We're having a baby dedication coming up, and I think there's going to be 6 babies. These
Wow.
are young babies dedicated. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're around 100 probably if I wanted to count
Nice.
everyone. But as regular attendees, we don't do membership, so
Right.
it's not like I can just go open the books and say, "Oh yeah, this is how many members we have." The
You
doors
do it
are open to anyone who wants to come in. So
right,
yeah,
right, and has always been that way. I know that that's always been a thing. Is like everybody's welcome at any time. So
sure.
if you're looking, I'm gonna tell you, if you're looking for a place to go, Solid Rock Church is the place to go. It truly is a family. Uh, in the congregation. I met a lot of them, and you have a lot of great people, and they put forth a lot of great effort to make things happen. Whether it be every Sunday thing, or whether it's a special event like Families Helping Families, or
Yeah,
some of the other. You guys do. I mean, I know I'm involved in the Families Helping Families. Do you guys do other events throughout the season?
we try to. We usually have a baptism over at Bass Lake, which is kind of a cool thing to do out in the lake. We do that towards the end of summer. Of course, we have the Families Helping Families concert. We did have Seventh Day Slumber at the church last
Yes.
year, which was a really awesome show.
Yes.
Were you there for that? Couldn't
No,
remember.
I was I was what was I doing? I was DJing a wedding, or I'm pretty sure I was DJing a wedding that night. Because actually Andy had asked me, he had called me and asked me if I'd help with the load in, load out that they
Right.
needed. And my schedule wouldn't cover it because I'm pretty sure I was DJing that night. So
That was awesome. That was an awesome show. And they were gracious enough to allow me to live feed that. So it is on the Get Solid TV. You
oh, right
can
on.
go, it's still archived there. Um, they used their own board, so I couldn't run a feed from their board, but I just set up 2 room mics and run
Right
them
on.
in stereo and ran them to the video mixer. But yeah,
Yeah, I heard a couple clips from them, which obviously they sounded great, but I heard that they were just amazing people to be around.
it was
And
good.
that touring bands don't always you don't always get that with a touring band, but I heard they were pretty amazing.
Yep, they were great people. And yeah, they didn't, it's not, they just played for whatever we gave them. So,
Right.
love offering.
That's some moxie to be able to do that. That's pretty amazing that they can make ends meet and still be able to go and put on a great show and not have to worry about things, that if that's
Yeah.
all there,
And
there's no fee, there's no charge or whatever, but
part of the way they can do that, and it was explained to me by them, they own everything. So they own the bus, they own all their equipment, all their gear. So they're not really bound to anything
right.
or under any sort of pressure. So now when they go out on the road, it's just they own it, and they know that they're going out to do a ministry, and
Right.
that's what they do. So it's pretty awesome.
I'm
And really,
telling you.
really good music. It was awesome sound. I was just blown away by the sound they got.
It's always really cool when you get those acts in, and you're like, how do they get that sound? I gotta go look at all their gear real quick.
Oh, I'd looked at all their gear. Totally family operation too. So like the bass player's wife was the sound engineer. She was running the sound, and yeah, she can mix.
Nice.
She's really talented, and yeah, it was just a good show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. Thank you so much for taking the time and sitting down and doing this interview with me. Uh, Once again, I think you're one of the most interesting people that I know. I think if we could probably sit down and talk music and structures and all that stuff for hours,
Oh, yeah.
although you'd probably watch me glaze over because you'd lose me in some of the stuff because I'm not quite as diverse in it as you are in some of the more technical stuff, but I definitely could talk guitars and all that stuff with you for hours and hours. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again.
Yeah.
I would love to get you and Andy and Gunner, whoever else wanted to go and do one of these South Bend record shows one of these Sundays after after service and go up and just watch you spend a ton of money.
I
Because
don't know about that.
they have a bunch of stuff.
My wife watching? No.
No, yes. Let's go. Let's go. Bring the checkbook. But
Or are
yeah,
you going to be playing? Are you going to be playing this year at the families, helping families? Has Andy bounced you on that? Because I know he's got a date now. He has a date for the
yes.
concert.
August 12th is the date for the families helping families. We've got John the Revelator coming back. I do believe Todd Wolford is going to be doing some stuff. And more than likely, old Golden Jay will be back at the Families Helping Families this year.
Okay.
I got to play a few weeks ago. The big reason I didn't do it last year is I was very out of practice and rusty, and things were. I was having some issues with my hands, and all that stuff kind of worked out. And I was fortunate enough to play with the boys a few weeks ago at a coffee house in Bremen, and it went great. And so, yeah, I do believe I will be back. I'm just gonna do a single set. Probably me and the boys come up and do an acoustic set, and just do our thing. And
How about we work out a song? I'll come up and play with you.
hey, yeah, anytime,
I'll bring the acoustic up and we'll play.
Okay.
We'll do a song. I'll
Sounds
be thinking about it. Pick
all
it
right.
out.
Yeah, you let me
So,
know, and I'll work it out and have it ready.
cool.
I'll let you pick it. Just don't kill me too high on the vocals too much. I'm still a little rusty.
So we can work something out. We can play magic with keys, right? We can
Oh yeah.
we can change the key of a song, and
Yes, we can. Yes,
now
we can.
it's so high. Yeah.
That's how I kill that Creed song not Creed, Radiohead song, Creep.
Yeah.
I dropped it actually 2 full steps to be able to sing it, and
That's how you do it.
that's how I snuck around that one. Oh, I can't take credit for that. There was a kid on YouTube that did it, and I loved it. It was amazing, and I always loved that song, and to be able to do it and make you feel like you've done it justice. Yeah, it makes you feel really good. So it's I don't care how long you played or how old you are, you always learn something new along the way and some little trick of the trade, and it's always brilliant. So Todd, thank you
Cool.
so much. I so much appreciate you, and thank you for
You're
coming on
welcome.
and doing this with me. And it's so good to see you. It's actually been a while since I've ran into you,
Yeah.
because I've been like all crazy all over the place, and haven't really even made my way down that way as of late. But I need to get down there and visit and hang out, and maybe
We didn't make it to the campground this year, I don't think. Yeah. I think that was like a year ago. So, or
Yeah.
the previous summer.
Yeah, yep. Hopefully maybe this year you'll get out there.
Yeah.
I
All right, man. I'm
I'll
sure
have
I'll see you before that.
I'll have some rye whiskey for you. How's that?
I don't know about that.
Okay, I'll drink the rye. You can have the soda or the water, whichever you prefer.
Whatever tastes good that day.
No, exactly. All right, thank you so much, bud. Let me
You're welcome.
do my plugs here real quick. Thank you for hanging out here on Golden Image Podcast. You can find us on all of your streaming sites that you love to listen to your podcasts on. We're also on Facebook. And, don't be afraid to go out and check out all the other podcasts on the Golden Mojo Entertainment empire. That's right. We're building an empire here. You can check out The Call Guys on Mondays. On Wednesdays, it is the United States of Paranormal. On Thursdays, it is the Indiana Chiefs fans. And Two Shots on Friday, you can listen to A Court of Books and Booze, or you can check out the girls from MurdNerds. That's right. If you like true crime, those are the girls to go check out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in a couple weeks. Later.
Golden Image Radio is on the air.
Golden Image.
Oh, I finally got to grab this game.
Rock on.